Because of this injury, I lost my job. Eventually, I was let go of my position. And so I said, how can I turn this around and make it work for others where they're maybe in the same situation, injured, suffering financially, physically, emotionally. And this is how I started my own company. This client stated that he had been injured in a car accident that happened around 1 year ago, more or less. So this injury, he lost his job, his quality of life, his wife is about to leave him, and he's no longer the main provider in the family. And it's not the same person he used to be. And to make a situation even worse, he's about to be evicted from his place of residence as he can no longer pay his mortgage or any other bills that are piling up daily. That's where we come in and lend him all the help we can offer after we, of course, verify all the case information with the attorney. We also offer flexible funding options. What that means, we offer tailored funding solutions to the individual circumstances of each client.
Welcome to the Legal Lead Shark podcast, where elite law firms come to scale smarter, not harder. We're here to help you dominate the market, multiply your time, and build law firms that run like machines without you grinding the gears. Each week, we bring on industry powerhouses and strategic minds like today's guest, Laura Moore of Moore Injury Funding, to show you exactly how to 10x your growth. Laura is rewriting the rules of what it means to support personal injury plaintiffs and doing it with heart, hustle, and high-speed execution. Laura is the founder and CEO of Moore Injury Funding, a nationwide powerhouse built out of Georgia that's helping personal injury victims get access to medical treatment and financial relief within 24 to 48 hours. Forged by her own personal injury battles after a life-changing accident in 2021, Laura turned pain into purpose when she launched Moore Injury Funding 3 years ago. This isn't your average funding company. With a deep medical background and firsthand empathy for her clients, Laura built a white glove service that bridges the gap between legal limbo and real-life survival for injured individuals.
Today's episode sponsored by Intake EQ. If you're spending thousands on ads, SEO, and referrals, but still have no idea what's actually working, you're not alone. Most law firms are leaking leads because their intake systems aren't built to convert. Intake EQ fixes that. Our AI voice agents sound just like real humans, speak up to 5 languages, and work 24/7. They know your firm like a top team member. They can qualify leads, book appointments, handle live transfers without any hiring, training, managing, or overhead expenses. If you're still paying $2 to $5 a minute for a call center that sounds like a human voicemail, it's time to upgrade. Turn more clicks into clients with Intake EQ. Learn more at intake-eq.com. The link's in the description below.
I would love to hear more about your story and what inspired you to start Moore Injury Funding.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Kaylee. I'm truly honored to be talking with you today. There was really a combination of reasons which influenced my decision in starting Moore Injury Funding in Georgia 3 years ago. The first reason being I always envisioned having my own company, being my own boss. Actually, since I was probably 4 or 5 years old, I just didn't know at that time what exactly my passion for life will be. I wanted to start my own business, be my own person, lead a group of like-minded people, and make a difference in people's lives. I just didn't have a vision of exactly what that constitutes. As a 5-year-old girl, I remember I was telling my mom's friend that I will be a restaurant owner one day. Maybe because I always enjoy cooking and I'm a gastronomer or foodie in a literal sense of the word. People sometimes ask me, why did it take you so long to start your own business, Moore Injury Funding, if you had that itch and the desire since you were a child? And really the main reason was I didn't speak any English when I moved straight to Georgia, US from Lithuania almost 25 years ago. English is my 4th language, and I always tell my son I'm still learning it every day, infinitely, really. Just to give you an idea of how fabulous my English was, I took 1 semester of British English at Vilnius University in Lithuania because that was the only possible English that was offered at our university at that time. And of course, I thought I knew some English from some of my favorite 80s and 90s songs, some oldies that I absolutely loved, like In Excess, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Queens, Metallica, Modern Talking, and so on, and so many bands that I grew up with. It was really due to my dad who instilled that sense of music into me, because the fact that he followed his passion of music and owned a music studio as a hobby besides being an electrical engineer. That's the first reason where I didn't start my own earlier. And the second reason I would say was I always had had a deep passion for suffering people. Since I was a child, I can always remember being attracted to and befriending underprivileged, disadvantaged, vulnerable people, people with physical or mental disabilities. I always felt that deep desire to emphasize with and uplift people facing hardships. My vision of assisting those suffering evolved from the early deep desire to help into actually being able to support injured individuals by eventually providing financial help in the form of cash advances or any type of medical funding for medical procedures or treatment, and also by supporting large, complex personal injury cases, funding nationwide law firms and their clients, of course, whether funding life care planners, economists, accident, medical illustrators, large technology providers, somebody like yourself with your type of business, and some others that probably just, forgot to mention. The third reason of launching more injury funding was my personal first-hand experience of work-related car accident, after which I found myself in the ER, went through CT scans and hours of various testings. Many months after that injury, I was living in constant pain with severe headaches, anxiety to focus or sleep, work out, and leading normal physically and mentally active lifestyle like I used to. I had to undergo a series of spinal injections and had countless orthopedic surgeon visits, many months of physical therapy, neurologist, psychologist visits, sessions of microneedling, acupuncture, year-long deep tissue painful massages using tense unit almost daily for many months, and even now, endless meditation and breathing practices to keep me sane. Close to 1 year span of no workouts or running outdoors like I always used to was extremely draining and painful physically, mentally, spiritually. You are just not the same person, and it's bad. It was really, really bad. Because of this injury, so I lost my job. Eventually, I was let go of my position, and then didn't really help. And so I said, how can I turn this around and make it work for others where they're maybe in the same situation, injured, suffering financially, physically, emotionally. And this is how I started my own company.
What a story. Wow. So, yeah. And learning British English, I'm sure you got to the South here because I'm from Oklahoma. And there's shows that we watch on Netflix that my husband is like, can we turn on the subtitles? And they're speaking British English because he's like, what are they saying?
know.
And I'm sure the same with them. I'm sure they're wondering what we're saying on Southern shows.
I'm telling you. And it's so funny that only one semester of British English, we went right to Shakespeare. So I still remember by memory the
my God.
poem that we learned. I remember a couple lines of it, which is crazy. I know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my brother-in-law is actually from Lisbon, Portugal, and he was self-taught English, and I asked him how he did it, and he said, "We just watched a lot of movies in English growing up with the Portuguese subtitles, and when he came here, I was shocked." I mean, we always have those funny stories of him like not knowing the context of something, which we love like to this day. And one of the most fun games that I love, we have a big international group kind of circle. We have all kinds of friends from all countries, and I'm always like, "Hey guys, you want to play Taboo?" Because it is the hardest game.
Oh my.
But it is so fun. They're like, "Kaylee, you're wrong for this," But anyway, so I work a lot with personal injury law firms too, and I work on the marketing side. But in that, I really did a deep dive into what it takes to get from a Google click to a signed case, and then the injury settlements can take years for the settlements to play out, and that is a lot of medical bills. And to your point, so many suffering individuals who can't go back to their regular life for a long time, and that's the beauty of personal injury law is they deserve compensation because they're having to recover from something that was trauma. I mean, physically, mentally trauma. So I love that your heart to help people and that you use your own story and pain. So who better to have empathy for these people than someone who's experienced that themselves? So thanks for sharing.
Absolutely, yes.
So tell us a little bit. I'm looking down at my notes here. I have a couple questions for you because all of our listeners are law firm owners, and I want them to know, especially personal injury law firms, like tell us a little bit about more injury funding and how you service law firm owners. I know you told us a little bit earlier, it's not just personal injury law. You can help all legal verticals,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So we call it really personal injury niche, but that once you get into it, for those familiar with personal injury, it's endless niche, really. So personal injury could be trucking accidents, car wrecks, pedestrian accidents, Uber, Lyft, ride share. It could be premises liability. liability, slip and fall, medical malpractice. It could be defective products, maybe medication issue, somebody that suffered from a wrong medication or a medical device. So it's really endless. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a broad niche. Dog bites and workers' comp. There's so many different intricacies in there, and so many people. Unfortunately, I was talking to a personal injury law firm owner in DFW. He's second generation. Both his mom and dad were personal injury lawyers. And long story short, he said personal injury lawyers have done a horrible job at branding because so many people still think like ambulance chasers or have this negative connotation. When he's like, man, we're doing a lot of good. He's been following a case for almost, I think it was like 3 years against Monsanto's for pesticides hitting people. And there's people dying and infants being born with diseases from this stuff that personal injury lawyers are fighting against. There's a huge Johnson & Johnson lawsuit. Yeah, hundreds of people died. And most of those were babies. And these are personal injury lawyers who are fighting to get people there's nothing that they can do to get a loved one back, or for you in your case, to get you a year of your life back. They can help you get something.
Yeah, right. I think that narrative needs to be changed. And you and I being related with our businesses, helping personal injury attorneys and the clients and their clients, we are also, we do have a power to change that narrative. And that's what I do through my podcast. That's what you do through yours. And we have to change that narrative because you and I know how hard these personal injury attorneys work, how many hours, how much days of sweat and sleepless nights and months of no vacations or time off they put before going to trial. It's draining, it's very stressful, and they still have to show up for their clients in the best possible shape, have to be positive, encouraging, patient. It's a lot. So I have extremely high respect for personal injury attorneys nationwide because I work with them day in and day out, and I know what it means to be one.
And they put a lot of risk on the line because they take on these cases if they lose, they get nothing. So they could fight a case for a year and they have to pay court fees and overhead expenses in their own time. And they're putting a lot on the line too. I agree with you. I have a ton of respect for personal injury for sure. Tell us a little bit about more injury funding. Tell us a little how you differentiate from other options out there.
Sure. So more injury funding is unique in the legal funding space in that we provide individualized attention to each and every client. We are a mom and pop one-stop shop for all legal funding needs for any law firm, whether you are in New York, Philadelphia, Santa Monica, Texas, Las Vegas, New Jersey, New Orleans, Atlanta, Miami, or any place in between. We specialize in personal injury cases or PI cases. Our team has a deep knowledge of personal injury market niche. It has studied and understands specific needs of injured clients. Majority of our clients require immediate help. When they call me or my teammates, they cannot wait until tomorrow. They have to have money now because they're in such a bad situation. To give you an example, client called us referred by the attorney, or maybe because they really liked the fact that we have some of the best Google reviews out there. This client stated that he had been injured in a car accident that happened around 1 year ago, more or less. So this injury, he lost his job, his quality of life, his wife is about to leave him, and he's no longer the main provider in the family, and it's not the same person he used to be. And to make a situation even worse, he's about to be evicted from his place of residence as he can no longer pay his mortgage or any other bills that are piling up daily. So this particular client may need cash to pay his mortgage, cover medical bills. He may also need orthopedic surgery or chiropractic treatment sessions or maybe physical therapy. He may also need a remote online psychologist sessions due to his anxiety and depression based on his current situation. That's where we come in and plan him all the help we can offer after we, of course, verify all the case information with the attorney. We also offer flexible funding options. What that means, we offer tailored funding solutions to the individual circumstances of each client. We take each client very seriously, take every single call and respond to each of their text messages or emails immediately. A lot of times, these people may just need a good and patient, caring listening ear. A lot of times, as someone who won't judge them or give unsolicited advice, and people really appreciate it when they feel that they're being heard and cared about. That's what my team and I do at Mortgage Injury Funding. We also take pride in our streamlined application process. It's efficient and user-friendly. We talk to each client directly, and that allows law firm team like attorney, case manager, paralegal, or legal assistant focus at what they do best, work on the case of the client. And they don't have to worry that the client will get overfunded or underfunded because we communicate with the law firm every step of the way. We ask questions. We never assume because we believe that communication is the key to a successful client funding process and the overall successful outcome of the case for the client. We do not charge any upfront fees or costs, meaning client only repay the funding if they win their case. And that reduces clients and attorneys' financial stress during the litigation process down to zero. We call this process non-recourse funding. And this is, Kaylee, what you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. What that means is if case ends up going to trial and doesn't settle, so it does go to trial, and God forbid, the plaintiff's attorney loses the case, that means he or she gets no fees paid. So whatever expense he spent on the case gets lost and client gets zero. And so, of course, we do not get paid whatever we put in for funding for that client. So we do take that risk. We do not do background checks or pull a credit report. Believe me, this question is more frequent than one would think. The entire process with more injury funding takes between 24 to 48 hours from the time client applied for a cash advance or medical funding. It's a pretty quick process if the law firm responds with information that we request quickly, efficiently. And if the client had requested advance early in the morning, we most likely would approve that client the same day. So yes, 24 to 48 hours. And we take most pride in knowing that we provide personalized support and guidance throughout the entire funding process. We make sure that each and every client fully understands their options and obligations. Every actual or potential client has my cell phone number. I answer it at all times, always.
Wow. That's extreme value add, because in today's world of people being a number, valued on a number, that is a big value add. So I'm sure that's why you have such great Google reviews and raving clients, because you care and you do pick up the phone and they're a real person. So I love that. But tell me, Laura, what have been the biggest challenges that you face, whether it's law firms are facing it and so you're facing it too, because you guys work really tight together? What are some of the biggest challenges that you face?
That's a really, really good question, Kaylee. Challenges and obstacles, I believe, are the building blocks any successful business. Nothing comes for free. If I want to grow my business, expand my network, create or sustain business relationships, create a strong and lasting type A team that will work with me and not for me, I have to dedicate my time, energy, mental power, physical endurance, and invest money to that mission. And I cannot take breaks. It's a continuous process. And it's an amazingly attractive and delicious process because I have a purpose and mission on this earth to help those in need. Some of the toughest challenges in these 3 years probably have been hiring the right team players who care, are knowledgeable, self-starters, and absolutely love what they do. So yeah, that's probably one of the immediate challenges that I guess I can only guess that many of us business owners encounter. Second thing would be
Find people that love our businesses as much as we do,
I know.
right?
Yes, find the passionate people who truly care, find that perfect fit is a challenge because young people nowadays, if they don't like something, they quit in a day or two or a week or a month with no advance notice, at least in the past. We had, I guess, the ethics where we had to give two-week notice. Nowadays, I don't know if it's required, but yeah, it's a little challenge. I think it's also difficult to building credibility and trust is essential and it takes time. It's not done overnight. It may take months or even years for a law firm to refer a client for funding. It's unfortunately, this is one of these businesses that we are in where trust is everything. I have one client with whom I've spent 5 years prior to even starting my own business, educating him about the legal funding, visiting the office on multiple occasions and doing marketing for the longest time until he finally, after 5 years, referred his first client to us. It made me feel so good that none of these efforts were in vain. Yes. The worst feeling is when my team tries so hard for months or even years and never gets one referral. That's painful and not healthy for anybody. What other challenges? Maybe access to significant amount of capital can be challenging because we work with money and we have a substantial flow of money at all times because we have requests from anywhere between $500 to millions of dollars at once. This can be especially challenging when we aim to provide competitive rates because legal funding is extremely competitive field in the United States. Market competition is real.
Yes.
Established players in the legal funding space have a strong hold on market share. We must constantly find new ways to differentiate ourselves to attract clients. And I would say scalability can be another real challenge as we are developing a sustainable model that can and will scale as we grow. We must plan for growth while still sometimes managing limited resources. So there are a couple others, but these were probably the primary challenges.
Yeah, I could see and a lot of those even relate to me as a business owner. So I totally get that. And then you basically are solving, because the second part of that question, I guess, was law firm owners, what are they facing? Well, funding, whether it's for their client that need the cash advance or the medical treatment to be funded during that settlement time, or maybe even law firms that are needing funding themselves, right, to float themselves through to the next settlement. When I do Google ads for law firms, and I'm really upfront with them that there is a very long cash cycle on some of these. So we may get you 2 death cases in a series of a couple months, but those could take a year or two to pay out. And we all know that lawyers still have that expense on the back end, which is what we were discussing earlier, of payroll and keeping the lights on and funding themselves with court fees until they get there. Is that something you help lawyers with too?
Yes, absolutely. We provide five types of services. So cash advances, medical treatment funding. So medical includes orthopedic surgeries, physical therapy, chiropractors, there's specialty surgeries, and of course, mental health, which is virtual or online. So that would include a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist. The third service is post-settlement funding. So when the case settles, clients often in their mind think that the check is already in their pocket, which is not true, unfortunately. It may take weeks, it may take months for the attorney to receive that check in their office and then, of course, depositing and or send that money to their clients. So in that situation, of course, again, with attorney's approval, where we know the amount of settlement, we provide that post-settlement funding, that one-time funding to their client on an as-needed basis. And then the fourth service is case funding. So case funding is really anything from life care planners to your services to medical illustrations, courtroom services. So any vendor or provider of personal injury that works with personal injury attorneys to help their cases, that's what we would pay for. So we call that case funding. Usually those relate to larger, more complex cases. And then of course, the fifth service is law firm financing. That could be for somebody who just recently maybe finished law school and instead of working for somebody for a couple of years, decides to open their practice right away, which this is what I would do if I was an attorney. I would just go right open my business. But it takes bravery. It takes a special personality to do that right away because it's scary. It's a lot of fear involved because you don't know how to do it. There's so many personal injury attorneys, so many billboards, so many ads. How do you as an attorney differentiate yourself? So in that situation, if they take that leap of faith and open their office, they will need to have a space. They will have to have staff, software, furniture, you name it. Or it could be another scenario where somebody did work for so many years for maybe one of the well-known large law firm, and then they gathered enough experience to feel comfortable to start their own. And so they would need exactly the same funds to help them out. So again, there are different models, how we provide that to them, for a certain period of time. Yeah, that's what we do.
That's great. I love that. I know a lot of people listening to this podcast, they can be stuck in that messy middle or just launching out. We actually had a podcast guest, Jimmy Lai. Have you ever met Jimmy? He's big on LinkedIn. I am about to name him the LinkedIn lawyer. I mean, this guy, I've never seen anybody show up on LinkedIn. He's actually based out of Oklahoma City, which we didn't find out until we scheduled the interview. And I'm like, oh, we should have done it live.
What's his last name?
Lai. So he said he's the lawyer that never lies because he's actually Taiwanese.
Okay.
He did school here. He got his MBA in business, and then he also got his law degree here at OU. And he came out of law school right after COVID and said he couldn't get a job because every application was, do you need a sponsorship? And he's like, I didn't graduate at the top of my class. I took classes that I actually cared about, which I wasn't a student, basically. And he launched out. He's now $1 million firm here in Oklahoma City. He has 15 people working for him, but he did it out of complete necessity because it was either use the E2 visa and stay here, open your own firm, or leave.
Wow.
And And so he was thrust out. So if he would have had access to you, I'm sure that would have been very valuable information. But that's who a lot of our listeners are. They're either taking the leap or they're stuck in the messy middle, and they need someone like you to be able to call on if they need help.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's a beautiful story right there. So we have a lot of people who find us on social media like TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. I have people probably at least twice a week reaching out to me or to my team looking for exactly that, to try to start their own firm or grow their firm. Also, forgot to mention is once that attorney takes leap of faith and opens his or her practice, it starts doing really well, it starts making profit, the caseload starts growing, and they are ready to scale to the next or third office. In those situations, maybe they already have their own funds enough to cover the expansion, but sometimes they still utilize our help.
Yeah, I think a lot of times they like to play it safe and get the funding, even if they have the money, because they need the cash reserves. So it makes better sense financially to get the loan than it does to use their
Yeah.
own reserves that are there.
And
for
we have better rates and more flexible funding options for that purpose. So yes, if anybody listening here needs help, please reach out to me.
Awesome. Okay, so last question here is, how do you measure the ROI and client satisfaction for your clients and for your law firms that you work
Yeah,
with?
I love this question. First thing we do as soon as we complete a client or case funding, we send them a link to our good old Google review portal, which client can submit their feedback and testimonial in real time. A Google client reviews speak volumes about their satisfaction level, our service quality, responsiveness, and overall experience with more injury funding. We really take pride in having all 5-star reviews, which in turn attract new leads that potentially may convert into actual clients. We also track our client retention rate. We measure the number of referrals we receive, and that is a direct indication of client satisfaction. The last thing we track is the overall client cases closed. So this shows us how effectively more injury funding services facilitate the legal process, contributing to the overall client satisfaction. And I'm sure there are many different ways, but that's what works for us.
That's awesome. My Google Ads mentor says those who know their numbers win. And it sounds like you know your numbers, and it's a smart smart business to partner up with. Yeah, I've really enjoyed the interview today, Laura. If you will, and I'm going to have all this in the description below too, but what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to work with more injury
Absolutely.
funding?
So you can call us at any time at 404-931-8350. You can send us text to that number. You can give us a call, and that call will be answered right away. You can also send us an email to info@moreinjuryfunding.com, or you can send email to me at lmoreinjury@moreinjuryfunding.com, and more with 2 O's. You can find us on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and we're everywhere. Just Google her.
You're everywhere. Yes. Well, I'm going to have Laura's information in the link below. I hope you guys reach out to her and utilize her as a resource. She's a woman of integrity, and I love supporting women in business, especially women that are passionate and empathetic and just go-getter powerhouses like you, Laura. So thanks for joining me
Thank you
today.
so much, Kaylee. You are a light of sunshine in this world. We need you as well. And same here, same feeling. I love supporting women in our industry. And if I can help with anything, please let me know. Thank you so much again.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. Check out more podcasts on the Legal Lead Sharks podcast and also on Laura's podcast at More Injury Funding. We are a wealth of information, and we love connecting you with the right people so that you can scale your law firm smarter, not harder. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.